Groundhog, groundhog, what you gonna say today? Groundhog.
Every year we do something to commemorate and honor our most famous citizen, Punxsutawney Phil. And the kids get very excited about it. It's right up there with Christmas and Valentine's Day and the Easter Bunny.
Hey, good morning. Welcome to the first set of Groundhog games.
I was 6 years old when I first heard about Punxsutawney Phil. As a child, I thought it was kind of silly. But now I find out it's supposed to be silly. It's great. This is what it's all about.
It's a typical enough town, this slice of western Pennsylvania called Punxsutawney. Like much of small-town America, it's fueled by a strong, sometimes downright stubborn sense of pride and spirit. It comes with an ordinary allotment of triumphs and tribulations and contains the expected quota of saints and cynics, do-gooders, go-getters, rebels, and devout supporters of the status quo. The name Punxsutawney honors no distant benefactor, nor has it ever lent itself to a famous battle or even a minor skirmish. Its origin, fittingly, is something far more literal.
The Indians who were here discovered numbers of little gnats, pesky things, to them, and the one gentleman who was a missionary, a Moravian missionary, who could interpret the Indian language, and he interpreted their word punky to be the gnat, and so it was the town of the punkies, the town of the gnat fly. Punxsutawney, as it's called now.
Many small towns have spirit, but over the years, the people of Punxsutawney have come up with a distinctly different way to channel theirs. The Europeans who first settled here brought with them many of their old-world beliefs, including the ability of badgers to predict the length of winter's second half. The forecast would traditionally be made on Candlemas Day, February 2nd.
If Candlemas be fair and bright, come winter, have another flight. If Candlemas bring clouds and rain, go winter, and come not again.
With badgers in short supply in western Pennsylvania, their forecasting powers were conveniently transferred by the settlers to a more plentiful cousin, the groundhog. If, the reasoning went, the groundhog saw his shadow on February 2nd, 6 more weeks of winter weather were in store. Toward the end of the 19th century, with social clubs becoming quite prevalent, a group of Punxsutawneyans in search of good food and good times got into the habit of snaring and serving the furry critters at what was to become the annual groundhog hunt and outing. Being the guest of honor, as opposed to the main course, would only come later. Perhaps most of the populace associated the groundhog with feasting, fun, and fellowship, but the editor of the local newspaper, a man named Clymer Freese, saw some intriguing public relations possibilities that extended well beyond the town's borders. It was Freese who gave the group of merrymakers its official name, the Groundhog Club. And it was Freese who made it his mission, and the mission of the spirit, to see Punxsutawney brought to the attention of the entire nation.
In Punxsutawney.
Groundhog Day, February 4th, 1903. Last Monday was Groundhog Day. The little beast saw his silhouette reflected on the brown earth, chuckled malignantly, and scrambled back into his burrow. This, of course, ensures 6 weeks of very severe weather, and people who reside in Pittsburgh or vicinity should be prepared for the worst. The groundhog, having been made light of by the Pittsburgh Gazette, is greatly chagrined.
From the outset, the whole Punxsutawney, the legend, lore, Groundhog Day, the picnics, it was developed through the media. They began to bring people in from Pittsburgh, surrounding towns, dignitaries, newspapermen, and they would more or less have a day of fun and games.
Through the first 2 decades of the 20th century, the Groundhog Club and the publicity surrounding it snowballed. Much of its widespread appeal may have been due to the wholesale imbibing of a potent elixir known as Groundhog Punch.
Groundhog Punch was a concoction that one writer at the turn of the century defined as the only legal substitute for gasoline in scientific motoring.
When the groundhoggers discovered one year that the punch wasn't only fit for human consumption,
and thus was born the custom or the legend that for each swallow of Groundhog Punch that the weather prognosticating groundhog would take, he would have 7 years added to his life.
with the coming of Prohibition, the party slowly began grinding to a halt. No longer were the rich, the famous, and the thirsty eager to make the pilgrimage to Punxsutawney. The possibility seemed real that the day of the groundhog had come and gone. But not everyone was willing to accept defeat.
So it became, once again, during the 20s and the 30s and the 40s, the spirit's responsibility to keep Groundhog Day in the public domain.
The celebration began experiencing a rebirth in the 1940s, thanks to the leadership of a colorful local physician, Frank Lorenzo. A tireless champion of the Punxsutawney groundhog, Dr. Lorenzo imported influential people from Pittsburgh, Philadelphia, and Altoona by the trainload to enjoy a lavish array of groundhog-themed outings, feasts, and parties. When Lorenzo died in 1952, the mantle passed to his equally energetic friend, a coal operator and sportsman named Sam Light.
He had personality, he had charisma. He also entertained a great deal, which also helps. He came in at a time when the TV was coming into his zone, and things began to happen just because TV was there. He was president for 26 years, and it was during that period that I would say we vanquished all other groundhogs. They began to appoint a king and queen, and one thing led to another. The Groundhog Committee was formed. They began to have a Groundhog Festival in the summer.
Sam Light was responsible for several innovations that have since become institutions. One of the most inspired was the Groundhog Club's Inner Circle, with its trademark formal attire.
Many years ago, when people came on ships, New York had an official greeter. He wore a top hat and striped pants and tails. And Sam's idea was that since this is what they wore to greet very important persons, that the Punxsutawney groundhog was very VIP indeed, and that the Groundhog Club could do no less in greeting such a very important person.
Fortunately for Punxsutawney, there was Sam Light, but more fortunately for the town was his wife, Elaine.
A reporter for the Associated Press based in Pittsburgh, Elaine Kahn was sent to Punxsutawney in 1950 to cover another story altogether. While there, she met and later married Sam Light. She quickly found that she could put her writing talents to work on behalf of her adopted hometown.
That first year, 1952, I was asked by the Pittsburgh Sun-Telegraph to write about the groundhog, and I did, and the story got a tremendous play.
But that was only the beginning of Elaine Light's contributions to Punxsutawney.
I was working at that time in the hospital auxiliary, and I thought that it would be a very good idea if they got some money, and I thought a cookbook might be a way to make money. I knew that we needed an angle, and the angle was the groundhog that I thought would carry it beyond Punxsutawney. Along with the cookbook, though, people began to write and say, what could serve made in Punxsutawney? I did think that we should possibly think about a groundhog cookie. It took me 18 months to find someone who would make a groundhog cookie cutter.
Mrs. Light also played a major role in the creation of the climate-controlled Groundhog Zoo, where visitors can view the resident rodents all year round.
I have to clean the place out. I'm always finding little fingerprints like this with a nose print right in the middle.
Right there, he's drinking. Look, guys.
I don't feed them every day. Usually it's every other day. I bring in dandelion. In the wintertime I have to provide lettuce and carrots, and they need greens. The two young ones that I have now, I hope to introduce them into the zoo sometime midsummer, and hopefully Phil will accept them as students and give them the proper training that eventually they will become forecasters.
And so, from the legend of his cousin, the European badger, there sprang that of the official American groundhog, the seer of seers, prognosticator of prognosticators, Punxsutawney Phil.
Let us sing of a king who comes out to greet the spring, where the Pennsylvania hills are bonny. He's a groundhog sage who can shame a weather gauge, and the pride of Punxsutawney.
This little rodent has brought a lot of fame and success to our community. We're a population of 6,700, and we're a family. We work together. Everything we do in the way of projects, or even Groundhog Day or Groundhog Festival Week, or any event we get involved in, we like to think of ourselves as family.
Last year I was helpful in putting up the 24-foot statue down on the corner out of 9 pieces of plywood. We were going to put him in hibernation, decided not to. People are enjoying him too much. We see people coming to Punxsutawney every day, at least 15 to 25 to 35 sometimes in the summertime, having their picture taken in front of Phil.
February 2nd, that famous day, old Punxsutawney shines in every way. The people gather on this day for great groundhog's prediction. Will 6 more weeks of winter remain with us on Gobbler's Knob on that special day? Will groundhog see his shadow?
Phil is real important to our community, and although he certainly is not the whole pie, he is indeed a large slice. And economically, this does bring tourism to our area. That means that our merchants benefit, our restaurants benefit, the places of lodging benefit.
It would be easy, tempting even, to dismiss Groundhog Day, Punxsutawney Phil, and Punxsutawney, PA, for that matter, as merely examples of commercial overkill. But to do so would mean to miss something special, not just about Punxsutawney, but about a way of life that's all too often disappearing in America.
The quality of life here is very good. There are a number of people that we know that have come back, or people that'll say as soon as we retire, we're going to come back.
My name is Shirley Ragley, and I have lived here all my life. And we're at Ruth and Harry's. We come here every Saturday at 12:30. So if you're in the area, stop and join us.
I'm a resident of Punxsutawney now, lived here and grew up here. Lived here most of my life, spent a number of years away, but couldn't wait to get back to the home of the Groundhog.
It was really my intention to go south, but I just couldn't seem to pull myself away from the area. There's a lot of magic tied up in Punxsutawney and the Punxsutawney area. The kids are involved in making things, in art classes. We sing songs about Punxsy Phil in our music classes. And we get involved in games that are made especially in honor of Punxsy Phil.
Among older students, what's in and who's cool are subject to endless debate and constant change. But Phil is eternally Phil.
A little surprise on you. I asked Punxsy Phil this morning if he wanted to come up here, and he said, sure did. So I said, okay, you're going up to the high school this afternoon. So he's here.
Groundhog King and Queen. Pat Weaver and Christy.
The hunters gathered together in the spring of the year. They used to go up on a hill, shoot up their, well, let's say their abundance of groundhogs. And at the end of the hunt, they would sit down and skin them, and they would also cook them, and they would gobble them up. And that's how gobblers now got their name. And that is true, believe me, that is factual.
The Chamber of Commerce all year receives phone calls, inquiries, people wanting to know about Punxsutawney itself and the legend of Punxsutawney Phil. This year, we have two individuals that I know for sure that are coming from Texas specifically to do the Groundhog Banquet and then attend the trek.
Since the international media beats a path once each year to Punxsutawney, the town makes sure there's a warm reception at the end of the journey. So for the world press, there's an abundance of food, drink, and a royal welcome from the Groundhog Club's inner circle.
It's just a very informal thing, a nice little get-together. It's sponsored by the local bank and the Panel Hotel, the only hotel in Punxsutawney. They're just regular people having a good time. If you can't have a good time on Groundhog's Day, it's just about impossible to have a good time.
Later that evening, at the annual Groundhog Banquet, Punxsutawney pauses to honor some of its own. More than 500 banquet goers pay tribute to the town's man and woman of the year.
I want to say that in my days in Little League Baseball, if I helped one boy be a little better man, it was worth all my time. I thank you all.
My job with the American Cancer Society is in the service group, which is the quiet group. You don't hear too much about us. So anything we've done has been done in the spirit of trying to help. And all I can say is thank you very much.
They learn of the lasting impression Phil has made on foreign exchange students living in the area.
I have 4 students up here that we're going to talk a little more in depth with. What are you expecting to happen tomorrow?
Punxsutawney Phil, he will come out of the hall and he sees the shadow, and it will be 6 more weeks with it.
Very good, very good. Thank you very much.
A genuinely good time was had by all, from the royal couple who call Punxsy home to the Ohio couple who made a special trip just for the occasion.
We're from Bellevue, Ohio, which is near Toledo. Last night at the supper table, we suddenly realized this is Groundhog Day weekend. And this is a true thing. Since I was a little kid growing up in Ann Arbor, I've always wanted to come to Punxsutawney on Groundhog's Day.
We went up and checked out where it's going to be tomorrow morning, so we know where we're going. We took our picture up there. Our one son took our picture in front of where Phil's going to come out. And we're going to get this shuttle bus tomorrow morning early and go up there and stand with everybody else.
Some 5,000 people, a record crowd, make their way to Gobbler's Knob in the pre-dawn hours of February 2nd. Spirits remain high, even as the mercury refuses to rise above freezing.
It's 17 degrees at Gobbler's Knob. More people get their news from us on Jefferson County's news and information leader, FM 105.5 PXC. I'm Rick Sparks.
Okay, thank you, Rick. Good morning to you, everybody. We are broadcasting live here from Gobbler's Knob for the biggest day in Punxsutawney of the year. And Rick, I'll tell you what, are your feet frozen yet? Because mine, I don't think I can feel them. Big crowd on me today, Rick. Probably the biggest I've ever seen.
We're here to invite all you down to Texas where it's 70 degrees and sunny.
Some other students from around the Commonwealth, and of course, we even have some people here from Hawaii.
Yeah, everybody's having a great time. They got their signs up saying, "Come on, Punxsy Phil, welcome."
Of course, we're going to find out today if we have 6 more weeks of winter or not.
Yeah, how's that work now? If he sees his shadow, what's that mean?
Sees his shadow, we're guaranteed absolutely 6 more weeks of winter. He has never been wrong.
Best, I'm sure you're asking, whatever possessed this many sane people to come up in the middle of the night?
I see Jim Means, president of the Groundhog Club, making his way up toward the borough now, so we can anticipate that.
Finally, the main event. Around 7:20 a.m., the inner circle makes its way to the sawed-off tree trunk in which our hero reposes. It is time at last for Phil to make his grand entrance.
We are anxiously awaiting Punxsy Phil to come out from his burrow.
Now, I want to welcome you to our 105th trick. And I hope everybody can see Phil is a little ollie, so we're going to have to be awful careful. Are you ready?
Is it Jim Means? Is he going to make the official proclamation?
He will make the official proclamation when he confers with Punxsy Phil and Groundhogese, and we'll let the nation know at that point the outcome of the season change.
This February 2nd at exactly 7:20 and 30 seconds, Punxsutawney Phil, the seer of seers, prognosticator of prognosticators, emerged reluctantly but alertly from his burrow at Gobbler's Knob in Punxsutawney, PA. His friend Bud Dunkel held him high so he could wish the huge throng of faithful followers a happy Groundhog Day. Phil glanced skyward toward the east, then behind at the ground, and said loud and clear in Groundhogese, "I definitely see a shadow." It's back to bed till 6 more weeks of changeable winter weather are over.
attend the banquet. Up here talking to Phil and Groundhog East is Patty Burns from KDKA.
Whether or not Phil actually sees his shadow seems superfluous. The party's the thing, and everyone is eager to get into the appropriate mood. Even a visiting celebrity like comic actor Bill Murray.
Let's do it this way. Some people like to party and some people like to burrow.
Good party. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to let Phil go back to sleep.
His duties solemnly discharged, the seer of seers appears eager to exchange his moment in the sun for a siesta in the stump. Mascot and admiring public bid each other farewell, and another Groundhog Day celebration comes to a close. Traditions live on and often grow.
Groundhog Day is kind of a serious occasion. That's when we really get serious about weather prognostication. But this time we get together and have fun.
The annual summer picnic, for instance, is now part of an expanded week-long summer Groundhog Festival.
I'm not the first king in the family. My oldest brother was king in 1981, his senior year.
I'd like to get experience, travel for a while, and then come back here and I raise kids. I think it's a good place to raise children, raise family.
Punxsutawney is not without the problems that afflict much of the rest of the nation. The residents here recognize them as serious, but not insurmountable.
We are trying to attract industry here. We are especially interested in light industry. I think that's the most realistic approach, especially for a small town.
What we have here is a nice community that has created a image for itself as the weather capital of the world.
We don't want to go commercial. We want to stay the way we have been for the last 100 years, which made us successful.
There are lots of small towns that people have never heard about. Well, this is one small town of 7,000 people that we can thank Phil for people knowing.
All we care about is that somehow over the years we've fallen into this tradition, and it's our obligation to continue it. That's whether 6,000 people show up or if only 6 people show up. We're going to be a Gobbler's Knob, we hope, forever.
Punxsutawney, Pennsylvania is the cutest little village in the USA. And if you pass this way, you'll see what I mean. In the summer, in the winter, makes no difference but the weather, there's no one in town